Um, Hello again to everyone. I don't think I introduced myself officially. My name is Tiffany Hogan. I will be kind of doing some of the behind the scenes Zoom hosting for tonight's community broadcast, but in the interest of getting started on time, I'm going to go ahead and pass it off to our actual host, our president and CEO, Mark Loranger, who's going to kick off tonight's broadcast.
Well, thank you, Tiffany. Hello, everybody. Welcome. Happy September. I bet if you're in California, which most of you are looking at the same kind of stuff that I am outside my window right now, pretty hazy, which is just yet one more challenge that our community faces. But we won't be talking about that tonight. We've got some exciting topics that we're going to cover tonight. I'm really delighted that we've got a couple of special guests that'll be with us. Carla Javits from REDF and Simon Lopez from Goodwill, Southern California, along with my colleague, Michael Graff-Weisner, in conversation. I'd like to get started, though, with a tradition that we've been doing on these broadcasts since we started them, I think 5 months ago. We just celebrated, if you would put it that way, or marked the 6-month anniversary of this pandemic period. And we started these broadcasts to share with you some of the work that we're doing in our community, because many of you were asking how we're doing and how are our clients doing, more importantly. So I'm going to try a screen share here so that I can show you a PowerPoint. And I promise we are not going to do death by PowerPoint tonight. Just get the slideshow going. All right. Tiffany, let me know that that is the right screen. The main screen is showing. You're muted.
That's helpful. I think we might need to swap the screens.
All right. You know, this is the beauty of live TV, right?
Absolutely.
How do I swap the screens, Tiffany?
How about if you, let's see, how about I share mine and then we can do that.
There you go. Perfect. Thank you.
So go ahead and end that share.
This is why we have experts like Tiffany, because clearly I cannot do this kind of stuff. Anyway, so we have created, as most of you know, we're a pretty metrics-driven organization at Chrysalis. We track all kinds of good stuff. But in this time of COVID, we have to track different things. And we want to be able to celebrate the important work that we're doing because this is really hard stuff. And we want to make sure that even if we're not perhaps getting clients as many jobs as we might have in a traditional year, we're still celebrating the important work and contribution that we're working on. So we created what we call our COVID-19 response dashboard. And don't worry, I'm not going to take you through every data point on here, but I want to give you a sense of what we're up to and how we're reporting it out to our community. Next slide, please. So we've done, back to the other one, Tiffany. There you go. We've divided it into two parts. The left side talks about the first part of our mission statement, which is we're trying to get clients on a pathway to self-sufficiency by providing resources and support. And particularly now in this time of COVID, keeping our clients on that pathway is really what we're focused about. It's not as much about the job, it's making sure that we're there with them and partnering with them on the journey, wherever it might take. And for most of our clients, it's pretty meandering. The right side of the dashboard is that job piece, providing the support needed to get our clients prepared for finding and retaining employment. So let's drill down on that a little bit. Next slide. So on the pathway to self-sufficiency, keeping clients on our pathway, two things I want to point out here. Since the remote service period started, and we're calling that from March 16th through the data collected here is through the end of August, we've welcomed over 1,000 new clients to Chrysalis. And we've done that by phone assessments, email, text, video, you name it, we've used the technology. To me, it's pretty extraordinary that we've been able to, even though we're doing this all virtually, continue to welcome new clients to our work. And we've also had meaningful two-way communications, meaning by phone, by text, by email, with nearly 4,000 of our clients. That's what our team is up to every single day. And the other thing that they're doing is distributing almost $500,000 in resources to these clients. When this pandemic hit, many of you in this audience and other funders said, how can we help? And we were able to raise substantial resources to be able to give direct stipends and grants to clients, pay for food cards, pay for cell phone bills so folks can stay connected. Whatever clients needed, we wanted to meet them where they're at. We're really proud that we've been able to distribute that amount of money in this short period of time. Next slide. But we haven't lost our focus on jobs. In fact, Chrysalis Enterprises, that's what CE stands for. Over this period of 6 months, nearly 900 of our clients have worked in our businesses. And in fact, in the month of August, 540 of our clients worked for us. They got meaningful wages, in most cases above minimum wage because of some premium pay arrangements that we have, to allow them to stay connected to the workforce. Our ultimate indicator of success traditionally has been what we call an outside job. On this chart, it's called unduplicated jobs. 600 clients, over 600 clients have found jobs even in this environment. So while many organizations are looking at downsizing when retail hospitality has been hit really hard, we still continue to be able to help clients get placed in work. And when you add in some of the other benefits that we're able to pass along to clients, we've distributed over $540,000 directly to clients. That's not money that we just raised and we use for general operating support. Those are dollars that are in the pockets of our clients that they are putting to use to help them get through this really, really difficult time. Tiffany, you can end the slideshow. So I hope that gives you a little bit of a sense of what we're up to. We're really excited that we've been able to make this level of progress and that we're going to continue to push through this as best we can in a really, really difficult environment. And we thank all of you that are out there in the community that are helping support this work. So let's move on to something really exciting. I am really delighted to welcome Carla Javis to our Zoom tonight. Carla is an old friend. In fact, Carla, when I was refreshing my memory about your bio, you started at REDF in 2007, which is when I started at Chrysalis, and I think you met shortly thereafter as REDF was looking to expand. So for those that aren't familiar with REDF, it's a venture philanthropy that invests in groups like Chrysalis, employment social enterprises that are trying to help folks get back to work, find ways to overcome systemic racism and poverty and other issues that are really holding people back in their communities. REDF has really been a leader in the employment social enterprise space, and a big part of that credit is due to Carla. In addition to the 13 years of her leadership at REDF, she was at the Community for Supportive Housing for years before that, so she's got deep experience and passion for our work. So Carla, thanks for joining us tonight.
So happy to be here. Thank you for having me, Mark. Great to be here.
So, you know, this really has become your life's work and the focus of the work that you're doing at REDF. Can you tell me a bit about why you think this model, of course I'm biased, I think it's the best model in the world, but why is it that you've decided that this is one of the biggest solutions to poverty that we have today?
Yeah, thank you. Great question. So look, I want to start by saying this, you know, I believe so deeply in this work in part because of having met incredible people like you and Michael and Simon, and getting to know your team and the incredible organizations like Chrysalis and Goodwill, and what you just went over, you know, the sustainability you've got, the flexibility, the commitment, the ability to pivot and change as, you know, under the worst of possible circumstances, I think is extraordinary. And it's what we need at the community level if we're going to solve the problems that, you know, we have. So I mean that very sincerely. I mean, the kind of leadership, the quality of your leadership, the people I've met, and the organizations, just their ethics and their effort. I mean, that alone has inspired me. But, you know, more specifically to your question, you know, I would say, like, in my own life, life of my family, my network, you know, look how central it is to have a meaningful, decent job where you're treated with respect, you feel a sense of contribution, you're part of a team, you can earn a living. I mean, I still remember my first job, paid job, outside of babysitting was at a daycare center. And I still remember how good I felt, you know, working in that center in New York so many years ago. I've been working on issues, as you said, of poverty, homelessness now, I hate to say this, but for about 35 years. It's very clear to me that a lot of people aspire to work. They have the abilities and skills to contribute, but they've got no pathway to a, you know, to a decent job that pays enough to support them. When they're given that opportunity, they thrive. You know, they bring their own abilities, you know, their skills to their lives, their community, their family, and, you know, all of us benefit. I mean, people do productive work, you know, they're offering all of us through manufacturing or beautification or cooking or, you know, whatever it is they get into. It's kind of who they are and what they've got to offer. And they're colleagues, citizens, neighbors. Some people don't have a chance to do any of that. And that's where social enterprises, I think, are filling a big gap in the market. You know, we have training programs that are very difficult for a lot of people to participate in. They're not paid during that training. They're very low income. They can't afford to do that. Trainings don't really work for them, or they're unfortunately not really connected to the real market in terms of the jobs available. And then, of course, for many people, you know, the first question an employer asks is, you know, what's your last employer? Where's your reference? You know, do you have a job now? And for so many people, the answer to that is no, or it was a poor experience. And so they can't offer that to their next employer. And the real world experience of actually working in social enterprise ends up being incredibly powerful in terms of helping position people both with the skills and support that they need, and then the track record, you know, to be able to be credible with a next employer. Then we have lots of data. We're very metric centric, as you are, and we've done a lot on impact and results to survey third-party research. We've seen incomes rise, housing stability up, long-term gains in income. We like to sort of wrap it all up in this neat metric we call social return on investment. We've seen $2.23 for every dollar spent by a social enterprise. That might give comfort to some of your donors and contributors. And that basically means that not only are, you know, people getting jobs, but we're all benefiting as taxpayers by having, you know, less recidivism, less homelessness, and more people working and paying taxes and contributing. I think, you know, the one other thing I just wanted to end with, Mark, on that topic of, you know, why I believe in this so strongly is, in addition to the capital and advice that, you know, REDF tries to offer, we're also really trying to kind of connect the field and advocate for what's needed so that we can all do more. And I know that, you know, you have been a real leader. We've just set up a reset, we call it Reset, a group of social enterprises across the country that for the very first time are advocating together. You're a real leader and an important voice in that, to advocate with government that we need capital in order to scale up, you know, this really incredible, you know, set of programs that we've developed, as well as doing things like, you know, encouraging employers to hire people after they've been incarcerated and, you know, just kind of do the right thing. So, you know, we're doing a lot of work on the system side, and I think with the pandemic, you know, and its big impact on, you know, disproportionate impact on low-income people, you know, people of color, homeless people, people who've been incarcerated, as well as small business. I think government companies are more motivated than ever to address, you know, these issues that we're all dealing with. So I think I'm hopeful it's a good time for growth. And, you know, I really believe we need this segment of the nonprofit sector, the business community, and we're both, right, to, you know, to really grow and scale. I think you can have a powerful impact. We've seen that. We can do even more. So.
Yeah, and you mentioned government's role, and you are serving currently and appointed by Governor Newsom on the California Future of Work Commission. which I think really touches on a lot of these issues. Can you share with us a little bit about what you've been talking about on the commission and what direction and influence you think that will have on policy?
Yeah, I'll do that pretty briefly, but I mean, the commission is interestingly, explicitly about creating a more equitable economy and workforce of the future. Not just addressing the obvious challenges of, technology is going to eat the jobs and, globalization and climate change and all of that. We're thinking about that. But the real essence of the work is around the more equitable economy where everybody's included. And that's been really inspiring. We've learned a lot of really kind of depressing data about the level of inequity in the state for working people by race. Latinx, Black, Pacific Islanders, Native Americans, lower earnings, even adjusted by education, due to discrimination, long history of discrimination, and unfortunately, which we all know too much about in the workforce, education, housing, et cetera. There's also a lot of disparities in California by geography. The Central Valley, parts of communities like prosperous communities like Los Angeles that are really left out, parts of Northern and Eastern California. And we've learned, and this stunned me long as I've been in this work, but 1 of 3 workers, adult workers in California, earns $15 an hour or less in the context of one of the most costly housing markets in the United States. And we've also really not connected the dots between our efforts to address homelessness, incarceration, and then economic development and employment, frankly. It just gets left out. We've learned how critical digital literacy and communications are to any job of the future. And can you see it in the pandemic, as you were saying, just communicating with people, is an incredible act, that you can't do unless you've got the right technology. And, another thing I've learned, and I think, we really need to advocate is I've heard from my colleagues on the commission that they want to do more to create an inclusive economy, but very few of them know anything about employment social enterprise. I mean, we're just hammering the words over and over again, and making the point again and again about the importance of how big this population is and how important it is and meaningful and possible it is to really fully include individuals who have been homeless or incarcerated in the economy. And I think it's been a well-received message, but again, I don't think people have really understood what needs to be done. So we need to do more to change that. And I guess I'd end by saying, just practically, we came up with a set of 13 recommendations to go to the governor, and then they'll go more broadly, kind of statewide. We're now working on 5 of them much more deeply to try to make sure we have really actionable, specific, clear, things that can be done. And those are to ensure there's jobs for everyone who wants to work, eliminate working poverty, create a 21st century worker benefits model and safety net. That's the one I'm working on. Raise the standards and share of quality jobs in the state, and future-proof California to prepare for technology, climate, and other shocks. So those are kind of the areas that we're going to bear down on. But like with any commission, honestly, Mark, you know this as well as I do, the question is going to be, do we advocate in the aftermath of this for the things that need to happen? And do all of us at the local level too get engaged in trying to kind of pick up the baton and do some of the things that we're calling for in these recommendations?
Well, I really appreciate your service and advocacy on that. If we could do 2 of those 5, we'd be light years ahead. And my dream is that employment social enterprises is like Kleenex. It's just everybody knows what it means, but we got a little work to do.
Got a ways to go.
Well, great. We'll circle back to you towards the end for some Q&A, Carlo, but I want to bring my colleague Michael and Simon from Goodwill on.
Excellent. Thank you, Mark. Thank you, Carla. My name is Michael Graff-Weisner, and I am the Vice President of Strategy and External Relations here at Chrysalis. And part of my role here is that I get to work with our partners across LA and Orange County in the nonprofit and government sectors. And I love having the opportunity to get to know so many incredible nonprofits that we partner with in serving our clients. We could not do it without them. And one of those partners is Goodwill of Southern California. And so I'm thrilled to welcome Simon Lopez to our community broadcast. Welcome, Simon. And Simon is the Chief Impact Officer at Goodwill SoCal. And Goodwill has partnered with Chrysalis for many years. And notably, in recent years, we were both founding organizations in an initiative called LA Rise, which REDF was also a leading partner on. And it's now a workforce development program operating across LA County. And Simon, I wanted to start because I feel like Goodwill is such a well-known nonprofit, well-known social enterprise. But often I find that people feel like they know Goodwill, maybe they know your thrift stores, but they don't really understand the work you do. So maybe you can start by just briefly telling us about what you and your team does at Goodwill.
Yeah, sure. And thanks for having us on. We have the utmost respect and appreciation for the work that Chrysalis does, as a leader in the social enterprise field, because people Goodwill, but often don't think of us as a social enterprise sometimes. They think of us as a retailer, or they don't think of us as a community impact organization. So in terms of the movement of social enterprises, of course, REDF has been at the lead of organizing a network of social enterprises and helping us exchange practices and working on policy and visibility. But in terms of the Southern California and the LA community, Chrysalis is the leader in that space. And so a lot of other social enterprises in this space owe a lot to Chrysalis. So thanks to you all for that work, and thanks for having us on. But Goodwill, Southern California, we're one of many 180 plus Goodwills. We're all independent, we're all autonomous, and we're all organized a little bit differently. We all have a retail operation, and we all have a mission or human services operation. So for our particular Goodwill, we operate 7 publicly funded employment centers, the American Job Centers of California. We offer a range of services, disability services for individuals. We have a veterans employment center, and we run a couple of youth centers. But at the end of the day, it is about employment. And one thing that we share with folks, kind of our stump speech, is that we believe that every single individual has value and every single individual has talent. And it's up to us to work collaboratively and creatively to nurture that talent and put that talent to work. And so, imagine what a different world this would be if the assumption is that every single person has an incredible talent, and that we just need to uncover that talent and help deploy that talent the right way, as opposed to, viewing many people in society as a deficit or problematic. I think what we're trying to do together with our social enterprise partners and our other nonprofit partners is to change that narrative a little bit, particularly for individuals who have been involved in the justice system and individuals experiencing homelessness, to change that narrative, because we all have stories of the incredible people that have come from some of our programs that just needed an opportunity and a chance. So, we serve Los Angeles, San Bernardino, and Riverside County. That's about 35,000 square miles. So it's a lot of territory. But we do that in collaboration with others. As we all know, when it comes to serving unique populations or vulnerable communities, nobody can do it alone. It really takes a village. So collaboration is the name of the game. And so we're lucky to have, to be able to work in a community, in an environment like Southern California and Los Angeles, where there are so many incredible organizations.
Thank you for that. That is a lot of miles. That's a good segue into my next question, because a couple of years ago, Goodwill, and really you, Simon, took the lead on an exciting new initiative called Hired and Hopeful LA. And Chrysalis, along with some other leading nonprofits and public agencies as well, kind of signed on as founding partners. Still relatively new, but the coalition's goal is one that is closely aligned with our mission, which is elevating the important role that employment must play in ending homelessness. Can you tell us a little bit about your motivation in helping to found and create Hired and Hopeful LA, and kind of the role that you think that coalition, but the business community in general, must play in helping to end homelessness?
Yeah, I think that we were Goodwill, Chrysalis, REDF. We're all kind of on parallel tracks on the way. We're all kind of rowing in the same direction. We were all trying to elevate this conversation around how important employment and economic security is to addressing homelessness. We're not going to build our way out of homelessness, is the way some folks describe it. So we can put a roof over someone's head, but we want to make sure that they keep that roof and that then they get to buy that roof, and then their life changes after that. So the idea was to bring some partners together, but really initially it was the city and county of LA who have been incredible partners, but have some accountability in terms of what we wanted to accomplish. If we say that jobs is such a critical element to address homelessness, well, maybe collectively we should have a goal and hold ourselves and each other accountable for that goal. So, we used to host these breakfast forum events with 300 people in the room. That isn't happening these days anymore. But part of it was to celebrate, part of it was to elevate issues and to bring like-minded people together. And so the timing worked out where we were going to host one of these events and said, we really should focus on the issue of homelessness and really try to elevate this issue. And we have all these partners that do such incredible work, and we're all aligned so much. LA Rise, we're all part of the LA Rise network. Maybe we can create something else and make a public commitment. So at that time, we were able to get the city and the county to make a commitment. The city said, we're gonna commit to putting 5,000 people experiencing homelessness in jobs. The county said, we're gonna match that and even one up you by 1,000. As a group of social enterprises, we said collectively, we're gonna put a couple thousand people to work. So then we ended up with a target goal of putting 16,000 people through this Hired and Hopeful LA coalition, 16,000 people experiencing homelessness in jobs over 3 years. And, and I'm proud to say, and a lot of this is thanks to everybody's efforts, really. We are at 65% of that total, and we're just under a year and a half through the 3 years. So of course, the last couple of months have been challenging, and we're looking at a couple of challenging months ahead. But the work that the coalition has done, and we have held the city and the county accountable to some of these programs. We're going through some tough budget conversations now, but the way that they design their efforts, because now they know they have some accountability, they're on record. They send us their numbers every month, knowing that we're keeping an eye on what they're doing. And the coalition, Chrysalis, Downtown Women's Center, LGBT Center, Goodwill, the group is what gives us the power to hold folks accountable. So, we're seeing we have seen some progress there, but that was the motivation behind it.
Thank you, Simon. And welcome Mark and Carla back. I think we're a little tight on time, but I think we're going to pivot now to some questions. Sorry, Tiffany, if you were going to do the transition.
No, that was great. We are tight on time, but we do want to address, we did get a couple of questions. And first I want to field to Mark. There was a question, you shared some slides earlier about our funding, and there was a question about where the source of the $542,000 came from.
Come on, if I gave that secret out, everyone would be going after that money. Come on, this is a competitive space. It's a great question. So we had a number of foundations, both locally as well as nationally, that we have relationships with that saw the need and immediately responded. REDF was one of those that did that. And then we've had a lot of generous community members that also stepped up. I'll also say that some of these were very focused. For example, Michael, through a partnership with some colleagues that he works with, was able to get some grants that were specifically for returning citizens, men and women who were being released from the California state prison system because of COVID, but didn't have the resources. So it's been piecing together an awful lot of different sources. A lot of credit to Molly Mellon and our development team for everything they've done to put this together.
Thank you so much, Mark. This next question, I think, could really go out to all of you, and feel free to jump in. And it's, the pandemic has affected some people in our community more than others, specifically a lot of the individuals that Chrysalis serves. It's been undeniably hard for everyone, but do any of you see a silver lining?
Well,
I'd love to hear your thoughts.
Yeah, so I've also been in this field a couple of decades, a little over 3 decades, and been through a couple of economic events and economic downturns. And there's always a conversation of, oh, this community was adversely impacted, or it's unfortunate but the follow-up action hasn't been there, and it hasn't been as powerful. I will say that, this is the first time that there has been widespread, authentic commitment to build it back better, to reimagine an equitable economic recovery, and to do it in a way that is sustainable beyond a short-term blip. Like, hey, these communities are adversely impacted. Let's get them a couple of jobs now, and then it's over. And I think Carla can attest to this. I mean, obviously, the work of the commission and the LA Rise Network and other groups. This is happening across the country. So I think that the silver lining is that, folks have had enough, and folks are really looking in the mirror saying, can I continue to say, oh, too bad, this happened again, or am I going to step up and do something about it? And so there really is there really is authentic conversations and strategy going on. Now, the challenge is going to be getting those ideas into implementation over the short and medium term to get some traction on it before we lose the opportunity. But I think the silver lining is that you have enough people having enough serious conversations about it that we have a chance.
Carla, you're on mute.
Simon.
I have a friend, by the way, who just got a t-shirt that says, "You're on mute." It's, I hear it like 5 times a day for myself.
Am I on mute?
You were for a second.
Okay. Yeah. I agree with everything you said, Simon, and that all makes a lot of sense. I think, to me, maybe a couple of other things to note, just the connection between health and economic and racial inequity. I mean, if people aren't seeing that, I don't think they ever will, but a lot of people are really getting that in a way they haven't. And I think another positive is that people really are valuing in a different way the essential, what we come to call essential workers. But, I mean, if we have respect for the people who do essential work, I hope that leads us to think they should be paid properly, benefited properly, treated properly, and respected. And, so hopefully that's something that we're all starting to come to grips with. Yeah.
And I'll just tag one last thing on. I think for those of us, look, every business has had to reinvent itself to one degree or another, and the social services sector is no different. And I was talking about and bragging on my team and the work we've done, but I know Simon, your team at Goodwill, has done much of this same work of trying to figure out how do we do business that is more effectively and more impactful way. So even though this is awful, it's affecting people in devastating ways. We're learning from it. We're getting smarter. And we know, particularly in the workforce space, we're going to get slammed in the coming months and years. Demand is going to skyrocket. And business as normal before March 16th, we couldn't accommodate it. So we're learning really, really fast.
Yeah, and Michael, I just want to, one point on that is that the social enterprises know these communities almost better than anyone else, because they were created intentionally to serve those communities. So, when you talk about the workforce, the public workforce system, other stakeholders who now want to focus on equity, they're going to look to us as social enterprises who were created explicitly to do this kind of work and have a history and a deep understanding of the dynamics of these communities. So, we may not have thought this before, but we're going to be a go-to resource for funders and partners and governments to help figure this out.
I know Tiffany is about to give us the hook because we have this thing at Chrysalis that we try to start and end everything on time, and we are 5 minutes over. So Tiffany, thank you for not even having to say that. I can just see it in your face. Carla, Simon, thank you so much for joining us tonight. We really appreciate it. I wish we had an hour and a half to talk about this stuff. This is fun, and we can really get into it. But we really appreciate both of your leadership and partnership on these issues that we all feel so passionately about. And Michael, thanks for joining me tonight. And Tiffany, as always, for hosting, and all of you in the audience, thanks for your continued support of our work. I know we have some questions that were in the chat that we didn't get to. We will circle back to you individually. And Simon, hello to your dog.
Thank you.
Thanks, everybody. Have a great night.